I see it as a great store of value, but I don't see it as, right now, for me anyway, as a means of exchange. So I want to buy and hold. I encourage people to buy and hold. I encourage them to say Bitcoin for their retirement, for their future. And that's because as the Congress spends trillions and trillions of dollars and is flooding our economy and the world economy with US dollars, there's no way that we cannot debase the value of the US dollar. So I worry about having all of our retirement monies denominated in US dollars. So as part of diversification, having a very diverse asset allocation so you don't have all your eggs in one basket, I think one of the strongest stores of value for the long run is Bitcoin.
Yes, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily, where you subscribe for a video on cryptocurrency every day. My name's Austin. That was, of course, United States Senator Cynthia Lummis touting Bitcoin as a potential retirement strategy. And it's interesting because a common narrative we've always often heard is that lawmakers are against us, against Bitcoin, when in reality, lawmakers, at least in the US, rise from among us, meaning they often want the same things we want. And we're seeing that in things like this. But in today's video, and what I want to share with you is the latest results from the Bitcoin Mining Council Q2 2021 briefing, of which obviously the mainstream media is refusing to report on. We surveyed miners and industry analysts around the world to assess Bitcoin electricity usage and estimate efficiency, sustainability, and the impact of the China exodus, and the results are in. Listen to this intro from Michael Saylor.
Okay. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Welcome to the Global Bitcoin Mining Data Review for Q2 2021. And we have enlisted 23 mining companies into our advisory group. So 23 Bitcoin miners signed up, and they collectively represent about 32% of the Bitcoin mining network. And so that really exceeded our expectations. We didn't expect to get a third of the network, but we've been very, very fortunate. You can see the logos of some of the companies here. And we engaged in some pretty serious number crunching. And I'm happy to share the results of that with you today. And let me start with the summary. What we found is that Bitcoin mining uses a negligible amount of energy compared to major countries and major industries, and we'll show that in a second. It's rapidly becoming more efficient. We're very delighted to see it's getting more efficient, and it's powered by a higher mix of sustainable energy than any major country or industry. And so that's the headline.
All right, that is the headline. That's the intro, like I said. And by the way, it's one thing to state this, but prove it to me. Take out the bias, take out the opinions, prove it to me with facts and raw data. I want to share with you two 90-ish second clips from this over 25-minute webinar. In this first clip, before we even get to how green the Bitcoin network's energy consumption is, Michael Saylor compares just the energy consumption in general of the global Bitcoin network to the other major countries of the world. And it is, by definition, negligible. Watch this.
Bitcoin mining energy use is negligible. Now, sometimes people declare Bitcoin mining to be large compared to some certain place, but they compare Bitcoin mining energy use to negligible size other energy uses. If we actually compare Bitcoin mining energy use to major countries, and you can see here the United States and China and the EU and India and Russia and the world, you can see that the Bitcoin mining energy use is literally so small as you can't see the line or the bar on the screen. We had to manually enhance the size of the bar so that you could see it. Otherwise, you literally would not see the bar. The rest of the bars are to scale, and Bitcoin mining is approximately 189 terawatt hours if we gross up the electricity to a full energy basis. Generally, when you convert energy into electricity, you have a 65% power loss. So some of you may have seen a smaller number in terawatt hours. That would be electricity basis, and this is an energy basis. When we take the 189 terawatt hours of energy used by the worldwide Bitcoin mining network, and we compare it to the world, we get about 0.117, or in other words, 12/100ths of 1% of the result. So 12 basis points of the world's energy is Bitcoin mining. Definition of negligible, 0.1%. And so we see it here. The most important thing to keep in mind is Bitcoin mining might be comparable to the 178th largest country in the world, but you really have to go to an extremely negligible user of energy to find anything comparable.
Interesting. Very interesting. Give me your thoughts on Michael Saylor on these stats down below in the video comment section. Do not tune out on me. This next clip talks about how green, to the best of our knowledge, how green the Bitcoin network's energy consumption is. And by the way, Michael Saylor and the council readily admit that maybe the rest of the globe isn't as green as the North American Bitcoin miners. That's a guess. They discuss this. They're trying to be as reasonable as possible. How green the Bitcoin network's global mining is compared to other major countries and other major industries. Watch this.
The BMC member data, like the 23 Bitcoin miners that collectively represent 32% of the network, they actually turn out to be running on 67.6% sustainable energy. So that was a surprising number. I mean, we thought maybe 50%, and then a lot more than 50%, but 67, almost 68% sustainable energy mix for the broad cross-section of Bitcoin Mining Council members. We then went and looked at the rest of the world, and we talked to analysts. We looked at all the best public data sources, and what we found was, of course, and we assumed a bit conservatively, that the rest of the world would not be as sustainable as our sample. We kind of assumed that the Bitcoin mining council members might have a slight selection bias, maybe, but we don't know. The most optimistic estimates would be that the rest of the world is comparable to our sample set, but we took a more conservative view. And we also drew from other industry analysts around the world. And we estimate, based upon all the numbers we can find, that the global BTC mining industry is 56% sustainable. So of course, the rest of the world is much less than 56%. You can do the math. It's down in the less than 50% range. But the blend of the two gets us to 56%. And if we compare that to all the rest of the countries in the world, we can see EU is 49% sustainable energy, Germany 48%, the United States is about 30%, South Korea 30%, and then so on and so forth. So the takeaway from this is the Bitcoin mining industry has the highest sustainable energy mix of any major country. And of course, if we look at all the major industries, it's pretty obvious by inspection that Bitcoin mining is much more sustainable than shipping, trains, gasoline-powered automobiles, all of the natural gas-powered industries, most of the heavy chemical industries. And for those businesses that run primarily on electricity, they tend to be sustainable at the electric power grid level. And so Bitcoin mining is in actuality the most sustainable energy mix we could find.
Wow, very revealing. And I love this. I love staying up to date on the latest stats. I really appreciate the research, the time that went into this. And if you want to do your own research, or if you're wondering about the data, the sources, they're all here.
All of this is based upon a set of different data sources. We've collected all the data sources and posted them here along with the links for all of you. You can see our definition of sustainable electricity and the source of it, and the questions we asked and the data we gathered.
All right. Hopefully that makes it a little more clear why I'm bullish, why I'm buying, and that's not to say, like we've mentioned on this channel many times in the last few weeks, it's not to say that the price of Bitcoin couldn't dip lower in the short term. It absolutely could. And by the way, I'm not a registered financial advisor. This just works for me. Do your own research. Always do what's best for you. But this data from Michael Saylor is bullish. Like always, see you tomorrow. For those who haven't, make sure you catch our latest interview about XRP with BitBoy. See you tomorrow.